my friends, and welcome to another episode of Raw Ups and Downs, the show where we go through WWE's Monday night programming and we give the good bits an up and we give the bad bits a down. Now look, the weekend has just gone and I just want to say I hope you all had great weekends. What's that? What did I do during my weekend? Well, I went out and did a little something in, a little hobby I've got going on outside of the world of YouTube. That's all I'm going to say. I know, Miller, what an internet geek. Miller, what an internet mark. Miller, what a wrestling, whatever. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. My name is Simon Miller. Let's up those downs. Michael Cole has got to stop saying it's bath time every time Sasha Banks makes her way to the ring. It was just awful when he did it a few weeks ago when Banks did return, but it was even stupider on this week's episode of Raw because she's meant to be a bad guy. We're meant to hate her, and yet as soon as he sees her, Michael Cole gets all excited. Shouldn't you be disgusted with her actions, Mr. Cole? Yes, you should. You get it down. Sasha Banks' promo, though, that was all right. Give it up. She basically admitted everything the rumor mill has been saying for the last few months. So she did throw a tantrum at WrestleMania. She did hate her match there. And she was super pissed off that Becky Lynch was in the main event taking on Ronda Rousey. And she wasn't. Now, this is kind of good. It works to Sasha Banks' character, even though this wasn't the intention. Because Sasha, we all know you absolutely love those tag team titles. Stop lying. She went off track a little bit because she had to mention Natalya's dad, and I just want to move that over there as quickly as we possibly can, and also said she's back, she's the barometer, she's the best person in the women's division, and she's going to show that, and that's why she became like an evil heel villain, because I guess she thinks she can be more successful. Neidhart eventually ran down to punch her in the face, which was fair because Sasha Banks was being mean about her. And we're gonna have that match later on. The Street Profits, who are then just basically the narrators for Raw these days, were then backstage and they were telling us to look forward to the next round in the King of the Ring tournament, and also that we're gonna get a Tag Team Turmoil match. If you don't know what that is, it's just a gauntlet fight. The weird thing was we also found out that Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode are now a tag team, which means, yes, a couple of weeks ago we just threw Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman together, and they're a random tag team, and now in this match are another random tag team. Who says that WWE doesn't care about the tag team division? It was then Ricochet taking on Drew McIntyre in the King of the Ring tournament, and it was good. Give it an up. However, my word, before the thing started, the amount of gibberish we had to have in our ears. It started when Michael Cole told us that Ricochet thinks he's a superhero, and he had the same tone as a mother talking to their friends about some kid they absolutely despise. And then poor Ricochet in an inset promo had to say this. Hello, my name is Simon Miller and welcome to another episode of Nobody Talks Like That, Ricochet. I understand that you want to win the King of the Ring. You really need to come up with better verbiage when talking about your opponents, because you said some would consider Drew McIntyre an immovable object, but I'm willing to move him to climb the mountain. Rick, my friend, my man, when people say that somebody is an immovable object, they do not mean it literally. Also, if you did try to move a mountain, you wouldn't be able to do that. So you seem to have been confused, but more importantly, nobody talks like that. Outside of that, though, this was great. Ricochet wasn't made to look like a geek. There were plenty of moments that made you believe either guy could win, and that's exactly what Rick did do, if you can believe it, after he hit Drew McIntyre with the 630. And isn't this King of the Ring tournament a lot of fun? We're getting surprises, we're getting twists, we're getting turns, but more importantly, a win matters and a loss matters. And it gives Ricochet a ton of credit too, because it didn't end with a surprise roll-up finish, the most devastating ending to anything within the WWE universe. Braun Strowman and Seth Rollins were then backstage with their brand new tag team titles. Rollins was really excited because that Clash of Champions, he's going to defend both his belts, as Braun Strowman looked at the Universal title like it was a hamburger. Eventually, Rollins then just turned and said, "Hey, Braun, do you want to be the number one contender?" And Braun said, "Yes, thank you, sir. I would like that very much. Isn't 2019 just a barrel of laughs? Do you remember when we used to build stories and we had narratives and you could watch each show going, oh, it looks like Braun Strowman is about to become the #1 contender. Who needs that anymore? When Braun could just go, give me title. Instead of go, yeah, man, I'm really cool, dude. You could have a title shot. I think it's wonderful. Down. It was then The Miz versus Baron Corbin. You already know who wins this one in the King of the Ring tournament. And look, it was just your traditional, very easy to watch WWE style match. It could have it up. And yes, like I've said, Baron got the victory after the end of days, and everything in the murmur pot seems to suggest that Baron Corbin is going to win this and become King Baron. I mean, he's been Constable Baron, he's been GM Baron, he's been whatever else Baron. We may as well just make him King Baron. Who even cares? A few segue segments followed this up. Gallows and Anderson were pissed because now to get their titles back, they have to go through a gauntlet match. Michael Cole reminded us that NXT is going to USA, and Rey Mysterio will be back on Raw next week. So I guess that's when we find out if he's actually starting a tag team with Dominic. Raw Women's Tag Champ Nikki Cross then lost to SmackDown Women's Champ Bayley, and Nikki Cross's friend and tag team partner Alexa Bliss was nowhere to be seen. Bayley hit an elbow off the top rope. That was that, and if you can't figure out why that is stupid and unnecessary, I don't know what I can do for you. It gets a down. Strowman was then backstage for some reason having another interview. Apparently this was the show where everybody wanted to talk to Braun, and he's going to go and win all the titles because he does have a match with AJ Styles for the United States Championship later. Of course, if he wins that and he beats Seth, he's already a tag champ, he can be, Mr. All the Belts. Not going to happen. It was then the long-touted Tag Team Turmoil match, and look, I tell you this, it wasn't the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Some of the booking decisions were absolutely crazy, but at least for the first time in ages, WWE did focus on their tag team division, and to be honest, that was enough for me. Giving it up. It started with the Viking Raiders absolutely demolishing the B team, so if you have been wondering where Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel are in the WWE hierarchy, they honestly lost in around about 1 minute. Bo Dallas just got Viking experienced, and that was that. It was kind of the same when Gallows and Anderson arrived, only this time the reason it ended at a minute is because both teams got disqualified. They were having a big brawl, the referee decided they had brawled too much, so apparently that is now a thing. Once again, I'm closing my eyes, because if I close my eyes, I can pretend it's not real. That's how life works. That is the facts. Give it a down. I just don't understand how WWE can be booking one tournament in the King of the Ring where we don't have any shenanigans, and yet over here in the Tag Turmoil Gauntlet piece of crap, whatever it's called, just shenanigans straight away. This did mean we needed two brand new teams to kick things off, so Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler, as well as the Lucha House Party, got in the ring. And from there, Roode and Ziggler beat the Lucha House Party. They then beat the Revival, which was really stupid because Dash and Dawson are already the #1 contenders for the SmackDown Tag Team titles, so why aren't they focusing on that? They beat Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, and they beat Heavy Machinery to, yes, become the #1 contenders, facing off against Rollins and Strowman at Clash of Champions. And if you haven't caught up, I will just summarize it for you. That is one random tag team going against another random tag team. So if you are a long-standing tag team in the WWE, you have my sympathies today. You never even stood a chance. However, I will say this, I don't mind it too much because I like Bobby Roode and I like Dolph Ziggler. And we can actually do something with them and turn them into a cool tag team. I will find a way to be okay with this. We also need a name for them. Obviously Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode. And after much thinking, I am going to go with Dolob. Dolob, that's Dolph and the end of Bob. Sometimes he called himself Bob Roode. I'm going with Dolob. I should have put more time and thought into this. It was then Sasha Banks versus Natalya, and once again, as soon as Sasha was walking down the stupid aisleway, Michael Cole went, "It's birth time." Well, when is it boss time, Michael Cole? Was it boss time at the start of the show, or was it boss time now? It's like he's got Pavlovian conditioning put into his head that when he sees Sasha Banks, he has to go, "It's birth time. It's boss time." It takes me out at the moment. You've got to stop it, Michael Cole. And if you don't stop it, I am going to find you. Well, I won't. I'll tweet you. That's what I'll do. I'll tweet you, but I hate it down. Thankfully, the match itself redeemed all of this because while it was a little bit of a back and forth contest, ultimately Sasha Banks just whooped Natalya's ass and made her tap out to the Banks statement. That was especially cool because she took Natty's injured arm and kind of like put it round her own neck. It looked like a really cool, devastating finish, and Natalya tapped down. Didn't do a round of applause, she tapped down. Sasha continued to beat her down afterwards, and while everybody in the arena, and myself included, thought Becky Lynch was going to come out and make the save, interestingly, she did not. In fact, she wasn't on the show at all. Kind of interesting from a storyline perspective, but more importantly, it's good not to have your stars on every single week. It makes them feel special. AJ Styles then told us that he's going to give Strowman exactly what he deserves, which is nothing. That was kind of a convoluted way to say that, AJ, but don't worry about it. You go do your thing. Cedric Alexander and Cesaro then had an absolutely wonderful match. Give it an up. Just go and watch it, really. That's all I'm going to say. It will remind you that Cesaro is one of the most underrated performers maybe we've ever seen in a WWE ring, and some of the things he can do are absolutely ridiculous, and that's not taking anything away from Cedric Alexander either. He flies around the ring like an eagle. There was even a story here which should play into next week, and that was very pleasant indeed, because at some point Cesaro went, I'm going to work on your legs, Cedric Alexander. So while Alexander did get the win after the lumbar check, he is now injured going into his match with Baron Corbin next week, and I'm excited to see how that goes. In short, this was the highlight of this week's Raw and Simon's choice to go watch on YouTube if you only do decide to watch one WWE YouTube video a week. Just fantastic all around. We then got to find out exactly why Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode had become a team, and it's mostly because they really respect each other and feel like they can do something in the tag team division. They were being interviewed here, and if you squinted, you could actually believe that you were looking at Rick Rude and Mr. Perfect, and when you do that, this is the best thing to happen entire year. We also saw the Street Profits who are doing their Raw narrating thing. We've already talked about that, but it's one of these situations where WWE doesn't seem to understand what a camera angle is, because these two guys were basically stood where I am now, and at one point they got really scared and looked about 10 centimeters away from them. There was Braun Strowman. He started walking to the ring for his match. But look, if I take a step back and look at this in context, WWE, it means that Braun Strowman was just stood there in a solitary position and waiting for his cue. I know I'm pulling at straws. I know I'm being a bit of a wrestling mark, but it looked so dumb. It's like if all of a sudden there was a tiger here, and the tiger had been there for the entirety of me recording ups and downs, but only now do I go, oh no, it's the tiger. Come on! Thankfully, there was also a pretty cool catch-up segment with all the Bray Wyatt stuff that has happened post-WrestleMania 35 when the Firefly Funhouse did begin. Because all this did was serve to remind you that Bray Wyatt is brilliant. Bray Wyatt is one of the most creative people in all of wrestling, and I can't wait to see The Fiend on my television again. And we kept that in our heads without actually having to overuse him. Yes! The main event, however, really sucked. Down. The real issue is, for the second week in a row, we've been told we're getting Braun Strowman versus AJ Styles for the United States Championship, and for both of those weeks, it ended in a really boring disqualification. What was the point? And don't get me wrong, the ending was really fun, the ending was really entertaining, because AJ Styles pulled an Eddie Guerrero. So basically, the referee was at the ring and the OC was in there, and they were beating down on Braun, but as soon as AJ Styles spied the official getting back to his feet, Braun had a chair at this time because he'd been fending off Gallows and Anderson, Styles took a powder to the floor, and from the referee's point of view, it looked like Braun Strowman had smashed him in the face with a chair, and that was the end of that. It did make Strowman look like a dork though, and really, it was just a very unsatisfying ending to Raw. We didn't get a cliffhanger, there was no oh my gosh, what's going to happen next week? Braun Strowman then just beat up the entire OC, who are quickly becoming jobbers, by the way. We just went off air. Great. I think what really irks me is that we could have used all of this time to actually choose a brand new opponent for AJ Styles and build up a really cool United States title program. We decided not to do that, and now we're in this bizarre place where Ricochet no longer cares about AJ Styles, even though they were feuding. We've got a bunch of random tag teams going after each other, and AJ Styles is like flying through limbo. This was a really odd episode of Raw. And on that note, we bring up our spinning arrow, and I gotta tell you, when it was done, it wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but if we compare it to the past few weeks, this kind of dropped off a cliff a little bit, therefore, it's gonna get a down. And I hate doing that, but it was just, look, you think about it now. If you have seen it, sit down, try and make some notes. What did you really take away from this? There wasn't that much to take away from it at all. Damn it. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you did think about last night's episode of Raw. That's what the comments are for. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE, and watch more videos here at WhatCulture Wrestling. My name is Simon Miller. Thank you very much for watching, and going back to the start of the video, if you are confused why a random title just appeared over my shoulder, that's right, my wrestling career continues to go, hopefully from strength to strength, and I won my first championship on Saturday night. I'm a pretty happy boy. I got a mark on my face. I don't know whether you can see it. That's where I got kicked there, but I don't care. See you tomorrow, 2 p.m. BST, as we up those downs for SmackDown.